Hi, I'm Tiger Stew and welcome back to the channel. And this episode is a review of the 16mm Sony pancake lens. And in fact, it's my Sony pancake lens, and I'll tell you why it's mine. Okay, so I'm going to be honest, I'm going to start off with the negatives first. And one of the biggest negatives, or that you hear online, because there are professionals who review these products. I am an amateur photographer, amateur videographer, and I do it because I love it. But one of the main things you'll hear is about the build quality. So this lens, it's mostly plastic. It's very slim. It's not the sturdiest of builds, but it is mostly plastic, and that's one of the key things that people moan about. The other thing is the picture quality, so it does tend to blur the edges. In the middle of the photo it's fantastic, the quality and the crispness is there, but at the edges it does blur. And Arthur R, who literally Sony A series cameras, the 6000 series, he literally will give you a fantastic honest review of this lens. But he generally shoots photography and stuff like that, whereas, like I say, I'm an amateur and I own this one. The third and final thing of the negatives is the fact that it's a very slow autofocus. Now, it doesn't have optical steady shot in the lens, but I mean, the size of it, you wouldn't really expect it to anyway. So I shoot on the Sony A6400, which doesn't have built-in stability. So it is very jerky in the footage. But perfectly honest, it's fantastic on a tripod. If you're shooting photography, it's a very good lens that I like. But yes, I have to agree, the autofocus is very, very, it'll find you. It's not the slowest I've ever tried, but it isn't the fastest, and it does let it down, especially when you're trying to film something and it takes a while to find the focus point. Okay, so that's the negatives. Now, let's change location and let's do the positives. See you in a sec. Okay, let's talk about the positives. So, the first one for me is the form factor. I mean, look at the size of that. It's absolutely tiny. No wonder they call it a pancake lens. It practically is like a Scotch pancake. Well, maybe two with some butter on top. But anyway, this can fit in my pocket and I can take it anywhere. It's absolutely fantastic. So that's number one. Number two is the fact that I've used this lens for various things, but I've also used it for street photography, and I have to admit I've really enjoyed using it for that. So it's a very small lens which fits on the front of your camera. It's not intrusive, it's not in your face. It is a very small lens and it does a great job of what's required. So here's a few images I took while doing some street photography. And I think you can see from the quality of the image that it's really captured the sort of the essence of the highlights that I was going for, and it really has captured the detail, especially in the conditions, because it was low light, so it wasn't the brightest of light, it wasn't the golden hour. It really was, low light situations, and this lens performed really well, and I think you can see that in the detail on the pictures. The last shot, obviously, you can see the light at the top of the picture just on the roof of the building, and it really did capture all that true detail. And the third thing is, it's a prime lens. So this is my first prime lens, okay? And it's not a bad one to start with. So yes, it doesn't have a zoom factor, yes, it doesn't have built-in optical steady shot, but for the price I paid, it's worth a gamble, I would say. Okay, so to summarise, yeah, it's got a few faults, got a few flaws, but for what I paid for it, and the fact that it's my first prime, it's something to try that's a bit different from, you know, my telephoto lens and zoom lens and the kit lens. You know, so you have to think a bit more on your feet. You know, when you've got a zoom lens, you can, you know, stand far away from the action and zoom in. When you've got a prime lens, you have to think, you know, ratio. You have to think, where's the focal point? You get closer to the action, and for that alone, you know, I think that improves my photography game and my videography. The fact that, you know, it makes you more included in your environment, especially if you're doing street photography. This lens was brilliant for that, and I can't speak any higher about it. I ain't a professional, you know, I'm an amateur, but this lens for me, for what I paid, it's worth giving it a go at least. I recommend this lens, but not this one, because this one's mine. Okay, well, that's sadly the end of the video. So there's one more video coming, which is chapter 8 of my vlog, and that's going to be the final video of the year. Sadly, there's no more Cooking with Tiger Stew for this year, as there's been a few malfunctions with the video that I shot, and damaging the lens and other things. So please stay tuned and keep your eyes open for the last episode of the year. And yeah, thanks for watching. Take care and have a great day.